Hello, I'm back. DMG's Jim here. We are working through the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide, Chapter 8, Bastions. We are in the Special Facility Description section of the book. We're taking them four at a time so we can read through them, understand and discuss them a little bit, and hopefully provide some guidance to implementing these or some things to be cautious about if you choose to implement Bastions at all. But enough of the commentary. We're going to read through first. We'll talk about them later. So we left off, we are picking up on the Menagerie. This is a special facilities part of the Bastion that is available at level 13. There are no prerequisites for it. The space is considered vast. There are 2 hirelings, and you have the recruit order available. A Menagerie has enclosures big enough to contain up to 4 large creatures. 4 small or medium creatures can occupy the same space as 1 large creature there. Recruit creature. When you issue the recruit order to this facility, you must commission the facility's hirelings to add a creature from the Menagerie creature tables to your Menagerie. The recruitment takes 7 days and costs you the amount listed in the table. The hirelings then look after the creature. Creatures in your Menagerie count as Bastion Defenders. Deduct any you lose from your Bastion Defender roster. You can choose not to count 1 or more of these creatures as Bastion Defenders, in which case they can't be called on to defend the Bastion. Instead, they act in accordance with their natures and use their stat blocks in the monster manual. So this is a table of commonly available Menagerie creatures. Apes is a medium, cost you 500 gold. A black bear costs 500 gold. A brown bear costs 1,000 gold. A constrictor's case snake costs 250. A crocodile costs 500. A dire wolf costs 1,000. A giant vulture also costs 1,000. A hyena can only cost, poor little hyenas and jackals, they're only worth 50. A lion is worth 1,000, whereas an owlbear is worth 3,500. A panther is worth 250, and a tiger is worth 1,000. With the GM's consent, you can add different creatures than those shown in the Menagerie creatures table to your Menagerie. The cost of a creature depends on its challenge rating as shown on the creature cost by challenge rating table. Typically, only beasts and some monstrosities can be kept in a Menagerie, though the DM might allow other creatures. And below is a table that gives you creatures challenge rating 0 through challenge rating 3 for the cost. We got a lot of comments for that here in a second, but let's finish reading here. The next one available is the Observatory. This is a level 13 Bastion, and the prerequisite is the ability to use a spell casting focus. The space is roomy, and there is 1 hireling available. The order is to empower. So situated atop your Bastion, your Observatory contains a telescope aimed at the night sky. Observatory Charm. You can use your Observatory to peer into the far corners of wild space in the astral plane. After spending a long rest in your Observatory, you gain a magical charm that lasts for 7 days or until you use it. The charm allows you to cast Contact Other Planes without expending a spell slot. You can't gain this charm again while you still have it. Or you can empower Eldritch Discovery. When you issue the Empower order to this facility, you enable yourself or the facility's hirelings to explore the eldritch mysteries of the stars for 7 consecutive nights. At the end of that time, roll a die. If the number rolled is even, nothing is gained. If the number rolled is odd, an unknown power bestows one of the following charms on you or another creature of your choice that's on the same plane of existence as you. The charm of dark vision, the charm of heroism, or the charm of vitality. All of these charms are described in Supernatural Gifts in Chapter 3. The next one up is the Pub. This is a level 13 Bastion facility. No prerequisites. It's a roomy space with 1 hireling, and it has the order of research. Folks come to your pub to consume tasty beverages and socialize. Your pub might be a bar, a coffee shop, or a tea room, and it might have a colorful name such as the Rusty Flagon or the Dragon's Loft. The facility's hireling, who serves as the bartender, maintains a network of spies scattered throughout the nearby communities. These spies are useful sources of information and frequent the pub, often incognito. Research, information gathering. When you issue the research order to this facility, you commission the pub's bartender to gather information from spies who are aware of all important events happening within 10 miles of your Bastion over the next 7 days. During that time, these spies can divulge the location of any creature that is familiar to you, provided that creature is within 50 miles of your Bastion and not hidden by magic or confined to a location the DM deems is beyond the spy's network ability to locate. If the spies learn the target's location, they can also learn where that creature has been for the previous 7 days. Now we also have a pub special. The pub has 1 magical beverage on tap, chosen from the options below. Big B's Burden. Drinking a pint of this beverage grants you the enlarge effect of the enlarge reduce spell that has a duration of 24 hours. The Kiss of the Spider Queen. Drinking a pint of this beverage grants you the effects of a spider climb spell that has a duration of 24 hours. The Moonlight Serenade. Drinking a pint of this beverage gives you dark vision out to 60 feet for 24 hours. If you already have dark vision, its range is extended by 60 feet for the same duration. Positive Reinforcement. Drinking a pint of this beverage gives you resistance to necrotic damage for 24 hours. Sterner Stuff. For 24 hours after drinking a pint of this beverage, you automatically succeed on saving throws to avoid or end the frightened condition. Now, at the start of a Bastion turn, every 7 days, you can switch to one of the other options. Your DM may create new options. A pint of this magical beverage loses its magic 24 hours after it's poured. Enlarging the facility. You can enlarge your pub to a vast facility by spending 2,000 gold pieces. If you do so, the pub can have 2 magical beverages from the pub special list on a tap at a time. A vast pub gains 3 additional hirings for a total of 4. These new hirelings are servers. Assign names and personalities as you see fit. So last in our reading, we're going to look at the Reliquary here, and then we got some comments to discuss a little bit. So the Reliquary is a level 13 Bastion facility. Its a prerequisite is the ability to use a holy symbol or druidic focus as a spellcasting focus. Looking at our divine people here. It's a cramped space, 10 foot by 10 foot, with 1 hireling. But it does have the Harvest Order. Now this vault holds sacred objects. A Reliquary charm. After spending a long rest in your bastion, you gain a magical charm that lasts for 7 days or until you use it. The charm allows you to cast Greater Restoration once without expending a spell slot or using material components. You can't gain this charm again while you still have it. Now, harvesting a talisman. When you issue the Harvest Order to this facility, you commission its hirelings to produce a specially prepared talisman for your use. The talisman usually takes the form of an amulet, a room-carved box, or a statuette, but can be any tiny non-magical object that has religious significance. The work takes 7 days and costs no money. You can use this talisman in place of one spell's material components, provided the components have a cost of 1,000 gold pieces or less. If the spell normally consumes its components, the talisman is not consumed. But after the talisman has been used in this way, it cannot be used again until you return it to your Reliquary and use another Harvest Order to prepare it. So that's the last one today. What did we look at? We looked at the Menagerie, the Observatory, the pub, and the Reliquary. A couple things I have to talk about, mainly the Menagerie. Okay. Please, please, please use the cost association on the right side as a guidance. If you're sitting there playing around in a Scandinavian style setting and there's thousands of bears everywhere, you don't need to be charging your players 1,000 gold pieces for bears. If your players become aware of this chart, you can fully expect your players to suddenly become monster hunters. Why should we go out here and go through this dungeon? We can go catch 5 black bears and make 2,500 gold pieces. Now, granted, that's how much they cost, not how much they're selling for. So that's one of the big issues I see with this chart being here. If your players are aware of this, then by default, they're going to expect to be able to make half of that 500,000 gold by a direwolf. The old druid trick, hey, we can just polymorph you into a brown bear, sell you to a menagerie for 1,000 gold pieces. You can polymorph into a mouse, sneak out, and we can do it again. Becomes a reality because we are now codifying the gold piece value of living animals, okay? I don't agree with these costs in any way, shape, or form, mainly because they seem really freaking high. I know we're trying to get money out of our players' wallets, but if they can buy 8 for 500 gold pieces, then they can sell an 8 for 200. So that's the one thing I want to pay attention in your Menagerie. Please make sure that you have a good system in place to charge your players an appropriate amount for the creatures, else you're going to become monster hunters. Why? We're not going to go on adventures anymore. We're going to capture constrictor snakes out of the swamp for 250 gold pieces. Dude, we're going to go raid that goblin mountain and take every one of their direwolves, all 15 of their direwolves. We make 15k and we're going to retire. Those are the kind of world-breaking, lore-breaking, immersion-breaking things that can pop up with Bastions if you're not prepared. These are, as you're hearing as I go through this series, I have a lot of hang-ups with the Bastions. Most of them because they have an outsized impact on world building and world setting and economies. Okay. Main thing with the Menagerie, yeah, if you're going to let your players buy an owlbear for 3,500 gold, you need to expect to be able to for them to sell an owlbear for some fraction of that cost, which can easily sidetrack your campaigns into we're no longer trying to save the world from Temple of Elemental Evil. We're out hunting brown bear because they good money. Now, if you're running a campaign that is predicated on the monster hunter, the dining in a dungeon, those kind of things, this can be a really useful thing because it's giving you a structure to plan your whole campaign from. The next one we kind of looked at was the Observatory. That didn't seem too heavy. Charm of Dark Vision, not a big deal. Charm of Heroism, Charm of Vitality, not a big deal. This is a level 13 Bastion facility. Odds are your players are probably dealing with extra planar beings already, so giving them an opportunity to contact other planes with a minimum of effort isn't the end of the world. Let's be honest, you probably got a cleric and a warlock in your group that's already talking to their deities and their patrons regularly anyway, so the Observatory doesn't have a huge impact. Although it does crack me up somehow that you're able to build this observatory with a gigantic telescope on top of your building at no cost, but it is what it is, man. We already talked about that early in the series, how stupid it is that you get all these super badass facilities that magically appear attached to your building for no cost. Costs you a lot to make them bigger, but it doesn't cost you anything to get them. So the pub. This is a very interesting facility. Again, we're at level 13. So in order for your players to put a pub in there, ideally, like we talked about earlier, you got to have some sort of population base around there. If you have built this gigantic fortress compound in the middle of the desert of desolation and the nearest settlement is 100 miles away, ain't no one coming to your pub. And none of the things that are listed on the pub are going to matter to your bastion because there's nothing happening within 10 miles of your bastion. So then again, this points us towards the idea that these bastions, our player bastions, are kind of designed to be set up in civilized areas, populated areas, so we can have the interaction required for the recruit, for the information gathering, for all of those kind of things. Does that kind of make sense? The pub specials seem a little bit heavy, but I mean, again, this isn't coming into level 13. A 24-hour spider climb is not game breaking. 24-hour enlarge is not game breaking. 24 hours of resistance to necrotic damage is not game breaking. The beverages themselves are not a big deal. The spy network is neat, but again, it has to make sense. If your bastion's nowhere near anybody, what are we spying on, right? It's literally that simple. And lastly, we looked at the Reliquary. This is pretty neat. Again, I think this is level appropriate, namely because we're getting a greater restoration once per day that doesn't cost a spell slot at level 13. That's not big. You already have greater restoration. You can cast it two times per day, 3 times per day at this level without using spell slots. No big deal. Now, the Harvesting Talisman. This is a useful ability for those of us that kill our players a lot and use lots of diamonds in our gameplay. One of the biggest money sinks in the game is diamonds, because it costs diamonds to resurrect people. We kill people, we resurrect them. The Harvest Talisman can substitute for one of those material components, gold piece value material components, once a week. It's not a big deal. So ultimately, like I said, up to this point, I think the Reliquary is pretty fair and pretty balanced for its level. It's not going to add anything to your campaigns, to the adventurers' arsenals, or distract from economy or story. Not a bad one. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We're done with this section. Next up is going to be the Sacristy, the Sanctuary, the Sanctum, the Scriptorium. We're doing a couple S rooms next. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Likes, follows, subscribes are appreciated. Feel free to leave me some comments. If you want some more, join us over on Discord. Would love to have live chats and answer questions for you there as well. But thank you. And until the next time, we'll see you soon.